Welcome to the Healthy Hustling Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Broadworth, and I'm here with Michael Paas. He is a friend, an athlete, and another new father. So, Michael is a 3 times CrossFit Games athlete, competing with Team Eighth Day, most recently in the 2024 CrossFit Games, where they finished fifth in the world. And also, even more importantly, is a new dad once again. Third kiddo is here, Rory, little girl. Heather, your wife was on 2 of the CrossFit Games with you, or teams, I should say, at the games. So in 2021 and 2022. So your kids are they in CrossFit yet? Are they signed up for the games doing the open this year?
They are not signed up for the games yet, but we do some workouts. They'll just kind of come up to me if I'm out in the barn or something and say, "Hey, can we do a workout?" And then I'll just make something up and they'll do it.
Nice.
Mostly Maverick's done like a few running things, and that's it so far. So he started basketball yesterday, so that's the big new thing is the basketball. So
oh, sweet. How old is he again now?
He's 7.5, so
okay.
He's second grade. So I have a second grader, preschooler, and then whatever she is, 5 weeks, whatever. Yeah.
That's kind of fun to have all those ages where, like, right, 7, you're getting into sports now where they can be a little bit more competitive, learning things a lot quicker, and then all the way down to you said 5 weeks. Yeah. And definitely not into sports yet, but the sport of like starting to roll or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It's a fun spread.
Yeah,
it's nice to go through those stages. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's get started with, so how did you get started in CrossFit? So you've been around it for quite a while now. Like, when did you get started? How did you pick it up?
Yeah. So I played football in college 4 years at Hope, and then I did track, and then I got done and
track at Hope as well.
Yeah, just my 4th and 5th year I did track just for fun. I mean, it's all for fun, but like I never did it in high school or anything, so I just kind of thought it'd be fun to try it out. So I did that, and then, as a lot of people encounter when you get done with college sports and you don't have that structure anymore, you don't just stop feeling competitive.
Yeah.
Like you still which there's lots of outlets for that, but anyways, I kind of got into like more running, like 5Ks up to I did the Riverbank was the longest race I did. So I did a bunch of running, but not a lot of structure. And I was an exercise science major, so I was a trainer at the Y. And so basically what happened was they had someone come in to start XFit class. They like started up, they ran it as like a 7-week program you could do. And that guy ran one session, so 7 weeks, and then he didn't want to make the drive anymore. So they asked me if I would take that over, but I had never heard of CrossFit. So that kind of just like went to CrossFit.com and watched a bunch of videos, and then I started teaching it. And then I was like, hey, this is kind of fun. And so I actually did the open in 2012. I was doing it. My friend talked me into doing it, and I was doing it at the Y, not registering my scores, just doing the workouts. And then Talene had me come in, and I did the last open workout here at 8th Day. So
okay.
And then it's Friday Night Lights, and it's all like,
so yeah, you came when it was just
it's totally different than doing it by myself in the corner of the Y. There's
your first several CrossFit experience isn't just like the average, like, hey, I'm Michael going into class. It's like everyone just cheering everyone on.
Yeah, just
crazy environment,
hammering thrusters and chest to bar pull-ups and whatever. I don't know. So that's kind of how I got into it. Is initially trying to run that class at the Y, basically.
Did you know from doing that first open then, did it click with you where you're like, hey, I want to do this and get competitive with it and start doing competitions, or did you ease into that at all? How did that then shift?
Yeah, it was really fun, and um you know I was good at it, not because I just came in with a whole bunch of training for football and like a good competitive mindset. And, I had all that base built up already. It's just learning the specific things that you do in your CrossFit competition. So I was pretty good good meaning like I was probably the 10th best guy at 8th day. So good meaning like I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to the games, which I didn't even know what the games were at the time.
You weren't games caliber, but you were to be 10th though at 8th day. That's to me that's saying a lot. Most people can't just go in and be 10th best right away at a gym this big.
Anyway, yeah. And so basically just saying I was good enough that it was like interesting and fun and worth pursuing. And when I started, it wasn't, it was way down the line where I was like, hey, I'm training for the games now. It was like back then it was just this is fun. I'll just do some local competitions, and my goal was just to basically just keep getting better. That's all it was at the time.
What was your first local competition? Do you remember?
We did a box crawl. So was it 3 gyms? I think we did. So just some people back then it was CrossFit GR, CrossFit 616, and then 8th day. And it was just an unofficial thing that we did where we went to GR and did a workout. And then we went to 616 and did a workout. And then we went to 8th day and did a workout. And then there was a champion, like a final workout.
Yeah.
And that was an individual competition. But it was, it wasn't official. It was just something that was
more fun, gym kind of competition.
Yeah, like community building between the gyms and all that. So that was my first thing, I guess.
Nice.
So
when did you decide that okay, I want to start getting into I want to start training for the games as a goal? When did that start to get on your radar?
So that would have been again 2012 when I started that. And then we had a regional team. 8th day had it before me. 8th day had a regional team for a couple years. And then I was on the 2013 team with my wife. And then we were on from then on, we were on several years of doing that. And we would kind of finish, in the middle somewhere, but never really super close to going on to the next thing. And then it was later on down the road. We missed regionals 1 year. Heather, we had our first child. We had Maverick. Mm-hmm. And we didn't make it that year. And so CrossFit GR and 8th day kind of collaborated, and some athletes came over to try and make a run again at getting to regionals. And that year we maybe finished 9th or something, which is, now you're starting to get
up there.
Like we came in ranked really high. Just we had a really good open because back then, like everyone was on the gym team in the open. So we had lots of people contributing to the gym score. So when we went there to regionals that year, like we started in the top heat, like Mayhem was Rich Froning and Mayhem. They're just a few lanes down from us to start the first day. And it just felt a little different that year. And again, I think we finished 9th. So then it was kind of like,
what year was that?
That would have been 18.
Okay.
And then Joe took us to the CrossFit Games to watch. It was either 18 or 19. I think it might have been 19. But anyway, so we went and watched the day. And like, I remember specifically standing down at the fence and turning to Ryan, and we were watching the teams go. And we're like, we could do this. Like, we could be out there. because we had competed against some of the teams out there at Granite Games and held our own, and like, yeah, we could do that. So that was kind of in my mind from that point on. Now it's like the games are we're trying to go to the games then. Yeah.
So when you went and watched, that was kind of that you were able to flip that switch of, okay, this is this big, you kind of put the games right on this big pedestal of dreams and hopes. You don't really know if it's a reality, but then you see the people and it's like, I've competed against them. And this is, it becomes a little bit more doable when you can see that, hey, this is like, we're right there. We just need to do things a little bit differently, maybe change training just a little bit, focus on these little bit of, did you focus on weaknesses or focus on your strengths more? Like, what did you then focus on?
I don't even know that we changed anything drastically, but just mindset wise, it just felt different. And you could ask Heather. I don't know if Heather ever believed we could go to the game. She might not have shared this vision with us. I'm sure she would say that she didn't think we could, but she has the mentality that it doesn't matter. She's just gonna, do what you can in that session, do what you can in the next thing, and
which isn't a bad way to take it either. As far as like, if you get 1% better every session, right? You're just gonna build on that, and that's how you end up making overall big strides, is those little increments.
Yeah. I think one thing that if there was a shift, it was maybe just like focusing on all the little detaily stuff that maybe you wouldn't otherwise, like,
yeah,
just thinking about not just getting through the session, but if this was a competition, how would we approach this, or how would we warm up for it, and just kind of thinking about just more details.
So then you got to the CrossFit Games in 2021 and 2022, barely missed out on 23. Tiebreaker that kicked you guys out. What did you think after 23 and missing it? Did you know right then that you wanted to try again in 24, or how did that impact your mindset and what you wanted to do?
No, I did. We thought about it for a long time, because Heather was all on the team all the way through 23, and we had kind of been just kind of debating whether or not we were going to have a third kid or not. So that was in the conversation. And just the kids are getting older, so there's more activities, and just going to be harder to like structure everything and organize. And no, I didn't know. I think I kind of pretty soon, I kind of thought that I wanted to. I just didn't know if we were going to be able to make it happen or not.
Logistically.
And if we do have a kid and Heather's not on the team anymore, we need another girl. We need someone to replace her, which is a big deal. And also it's just going to be a lot harder for her to be missing out, so what's she is part of that conversation. Like, if I'm doing the team again, like, is that okay, and how does she feel about that? So yeah,
that conversation then, did that take a while, or
it took a while. I don't remember the exact timeline, but it was probably winter sometime. It was late fall or winter, maybe even after that, by the time we decided we decided not only are we going to have a kid, but also that I'm going to compete again. And then like making those timelines work. And Dylan and Rachel were awesome, because they've gave us, all the time, they for sure 110% were on board for another year. And yeah, you can't come that close and not want, not want to do it again. So yeah, they were really patient, and that was awesome. It gave us the space to make sure it's the right decision, because if you rush into that decision, then there's like more second guessing throughout, and maybe you're not all the way bought in. So that was really helpful.
What would you say? So to decide to compete in 2024, you made that decision. What drove you more? was it just loving competing and wanting to compete and just that overall competitive drive? Or would you say, did missing out in 23 drive you to want it more and get it back in 24 and get back to that level in 24?
It honestly, it didn't. I wanted it more for my teammates almost than for me. So in a sense it did, but it wasn't like, I didn't have like a thing in my mirror or
Yeah.
something that I looked at every day saying, oh, I almost missed it, or whatever. So, I mean, I really wanted to do it for them because, Dylan had been around for a long time, at the gym um, and, and I mean, both of them, just to be that close and not make it and all the time that they've put in over the years. And then Danielle, like she's been so close. So once she was with the team, all three of them, like I really wanted to get them there and experience the games. So that was probably the biggest motivating factor for me, more so than myself missing it the year before.
Yeah. Yeah. I just could imagine that, that had, I would think that would play some role. I don't know. For me, it's like if I get so close to something like that, there's that for me personally, it's just that competitive drive of like, I'm that close. I got to give it another try because it to me, it would like gnaw at me, but I could see where I've been there before. I want this more for other people when you have the team aspect, especially involved versus, the
Yeah.
individual aspect.
Yep.
What, so 2024 is obviously a lot different than, the other times your wife's not in it. Would you say was the biggest challenges and hurdles with training during that last season in 24?
Yeah, it was tough this past year because we all kind of had different schedules more so than in previous years. So we had to, it was just hard to get together. Like we just really had to be on top of scheduling. And things would just line up for like an hour or an hour and a half or something. And so we'd be communicating, well, what pieces are you going to do beforehand? Who's doing what after? What are we going to do together? So there's just a lot of logistics with that. And so that makes it challenging, like schedules. And Danielle was here with her daughter, and then I have a family, and then I have a wife, and whatever, all that stuff.
Did it make it easier or harder with, like, from a family standpoint, with Heather not competing? Was that easier or harder, would you say, as far as like trying to plan training? Because
Yeah.
I only have one kid, and I'm like, holy cow, like this is a lot to try and get an hour or hour and a half is usually what I aim for, like 60 to 90 minutes to work out. And if I'm lucky, 90, it's usually around 60, 75. So having now multiple kids, how did that play out?
Yeah. I mean, it was easier in that, like, we didn't have to find babysitters all the time, because previously, if we were all going to train together on a Saturday morning, that was a babysitter every week. And so it was easier in that respect. But the hard part is that means Heather's watching the kids every Saturday by herself, and so she's taking that burden on. And, it's not easy for her because she still is competitive and can do stuff at that point, and so it was hard for her. It was hard for her to be like missing out. But yeah. So that was kind of the balance for sure.
I would imagine that would be really difficult. So you're balancing the family life, you're getting into training. Do you want to talk a little bit about like some of that? With any sport, there's going to be some injuries, right? So do you want to talk a little bit about what you had to deal with as far as like making sure you're healthy for the games and getting there?
Yeah. Well, this season was unique. Going into the team quarterfinals, you know, it was the last like tune-up session before team quarterfinals, and I blew up my back. And you were there eventually,
Yeah.
and it wasn't good. And so that, at that point, I didn't even know what if there was a season for me, in that moment in the days following. And that got to I had flare ups with that throughout the whole season, so it was a little different year for me. Um, um, Managing that, I'm putting a lot more time into recovery than in other years out of necessity just to get through sessions. And
Yeah.
um, so it was different.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. Do you care if we share about it? Obviously, with it being a health condition, I always want to make sure that
Oh no, yeah, for sure.
so
Yeah.
that we're not
Yeah.
just diving into your health history.
No,
So yeah, going back to that moment of when you like kind of first injured your back, I remember I think Ryan came and got me from our room and he's like, "Hey, can you come check out help Michael just hurt his back?" And I'm like, "Okay." Thinking I didn't necessarily know what to expect. I've been through back injuries, obviously, in treating myself, other people, everything like that. But I mean, you couldn't get off the ground for like an hour.
at least, yeah.
Everything had just seized up on you, and it was just a. It took, I think, 15 minutes to get you into a chair, maybe even a half hour to get you into a chair,
Yeah.
let alone then trying to get you into the truck. And then that was the last. That was before the last quarterfinal workout, right?
It was before quarterfinals started. It
Right.
was
So you had
like
to have
early in the
Ryan.
week, and then so then Ryan had to take my spot for quarterfinals. Um, a little as a side, a little sidetrack here, but yeah, and so he stepped in, and we ended up either 31st or 32nd, and the top 30 went on to the next thing. So we, after penalties and stuff, we shifted up into the top 30, but we almost didn't even, if he hadn't stepped in and was able to do enough to get us there, we wouldn't even
Would have been
went
out.
to semifinals, much less to the games.
So what was your mindset then going through that injury? Because that took what, like 6 weeks before then you felt good, and then you're getting into training. What was it about that?
And it's hard to remember because I had flare ups throughout the season, but I don't think it was 6 weeks. I think I was getting into stuff before that, like at least some stuff well before
You were
that.
doing like some bike stuff, but then being able to
Yeah,
like fully train.
yeah, yeah. And my mindset was just not to look too far down the road, and like it was just like, what can I do
In the present.
today? What are the things I can do today? And just keep building as much, like every day I would feel a few percentage points better than the day before, basically. So my thing was just not to get overwhelmed by, well, what's going to happen, or am I, whatever. Like, it was just, what can I do that day to get a little bit better? And what can I, as soon as I was able to sit on a bike and move my legs a little bit, I did that. And then as soon as I was able to, do back squats at 135, I would do that, and just kind of like keep building a little bit. And then just see what happens, just see where I would get eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, because if you were to ask me, like, I mean,
yeah, you got to take it.
I was laying on the floor for 2 days at my house, so
yeah, no, it's miserable. I think it's pretty incredible though for that you were able to again go from that to then competing in the games. Uh, and you guys placed fifth, obviously, in the world. And not only did you place fifth, but what workout was it? You retweaked your back and you couldn't pick up your team had to. Did you do any of the like the snatches and sandbag ones? Take us through that workout. What happened? Like what happened there?
So it was so games is a 4 day. So it starts Thursday and Sunday, and so this was Saturday, the first workout Saturday that it happened. So it was, we were several workouts in at that point, but we had a workout with I forget how many, but the earthworm. So it was like the heavier worm with the individual sandbags linked together, which is always like basically the worst thing for my back, because you're not in control, because you have to time it up with other people, and what their timing is,
it's already an odd object.
It's already an odd object, and it's already twisting and pulling from the floor, and if you don't time it right, like if I'm not timed up with my teammates, it's way heavier to lift it up. And you don't know until you start pulling.
If you're timed up.
Yeah. So anyway, we had I think it was maybe 60 of those. And towards the end, it started to get really bad. And then when the workout ended, I jogged all the way. It's kind of a little bit of a walk to get back to the athlete area, but like I left the floor right away, jogged all the way over to the medical people that are there, and just like explain that my back, I was like, because we had another workout still later in the day. So like, what can you guys do? So I did a bunch of stuff before the next workout and got to the point where the workout, it was pretty much as bad as it could get for a bad back, because it started off with a bunch of wall balls, which isn't terrible, but then there's a bunch of GHD sit-ups, and then there was jumping, and then there was 100-pound dumbbell snatches, which I originally hurt my back doing a dumbbell snatch. So it was like about as bad as it could be. So I got to the point where I felt like I could do some stuff. I could help, and we had a plan. For if I was healthy, we had a plan. And then one of the last things I did a 50-pound dumbbell snatch, and then it went out again, like right before we went out there. So I ran back to the tent. It's not a tent. I don't know why I called it a tent. It's inside.
The
There's
room.
No tent.
I got the point, though.
Yeah. So I ran back in there. I was just like, I'm about to be corralled. Whatever you got. And he got me to the point where I could do some air squats, and I could do some stuff. I was like, I'm going to start with wall balls and we'll see what happens. So I did the wall balls. I couldn't do any GHDs. So they had to do
all the GHDs.
They all had to do all the GHDs, which you're supposed to be able to split it up. And so that sucked for them. But then I did the box jump overs, and then I was able to do some of the dumbbell snatches. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I went to bed that night, and I was really bad after that. And I got like a Toradol. Is that it?
Toradol, yeah.
Thing. I got a Toradol injection. Bunch of Pete was there, my buddy Pete, who's a PT, and he was working on me a bunch. And I crawled into bed. And I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna. In my mind, going to sleep, in my mind it was, well, hopefully tomorrow has like bench press or bike erg or something where maybe I can help enough that we could stay in the top 10, because we were, I don't remember what we were at the time, but we were in the top 10. So, but then I don't know.
Man, what was the workout the next day? I don't think it was
it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't bench
good.
Press.
There was deadlifts. There was bar muscle ups. There's toes. I don't remember, toes to bar and bar muscle ups maybe, but like the kipping early in the season, the kipping stuff.
Wasn't there a run too?
There's just a short run.
Yeah.
That wasn't bad. But it was
kipping.
Ideal.
You're swinging, having to use your core, flex and extend your spine.
That was a bad one previously. And then there's worm lunges, which out of all worm things, a lunge is the best for back, because you can
at least keep it steady,
stay upright, and
once it's up there, it's up there.
There's less of a timing component because you're not picking it up. Just the initial pickup was the bad part. But anyway, I like lots of medications and lots of stuff, and I was able to finish the week out.
And finish 5th nonetheless, which is incredible. To finish 5th at all, let alone dealing with everything that you had to get through. And to be able to do that.
And a big part of it was my teammates too, because it would be super easy. I mean, there's already, if you followed, it was a weird games, like there was a lot of stuff going on. There's already stuff going on, and then
You had the
it would have
drowning to
been
start
very
the.
easy for them to check out or whatever, get mopey, knowing that I might not be able to do anything the next. Like I didn't even know if we'd be able to compete the next day, but like they never got that way. It was just like, okay, what do we need to do? What's next? They just went on as if we were going to be able to do everything, which is what you have to do in the moment. So that was a big part, is that they stayed in it 100%. So
Yeah, I think that's one of the good things of obviously having a team, is to be able to have that support. But it could go the other way, where it's like, oh well, even teams are only 4 people. If you have one person who's like, well, this sucks, and they bring a bad attitude, that can affect everyone else and bring down the performance. So, I think it's awesome that everyone on the team had the same mindset of, we're going to do what we can. We're going to make the most of this opportunity and be able to go and finish it out strong. So any future goals? Are you planning on, you've recovered? Are you planning on any competitions here coming up for 2025?
Doing so before the 2024 season, before I knew what I was doing, Ryan and I had talked about doing a Hyrox. And then I decided to do the season, like try to go to the games again. So that got pushed back. But we're going to do it this year. So
Nice.
We've been the last couple months. I wouldn't say I'm like totally training for Hyrox, but I've definitely been running more, and messing around with sleds more. So
for those of people who are maybe listening or watching and don't know what Hyrox is, what is Hyrox, and how is it different than CrossFit?
So CrossFit is unknown and unknowable, and Hyrox is very known. It's the same exact race everywhere you go. It's always indoors.
So when you say unknown and knowable, CrossFit, you never know what workout you're going to get.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't know what you're training for.
Hyrox, it's always the same workout.
Yeah, Hyrox it's just one like hour to hour and a half, maybe 2 hours long race, depending. And it's a 1K run and then a station, and you do that 8 times. It's always 1K run, and there's 8 different stations.
Are the stations always the same?
Stations are always the same order. Again, it's always inside, so there's no weather variables. The only thing that's a little different is depending on the size of the venue. It might be either anywhere from 2 to 4 laps to get the 1K run in.
Gotcha.
So like a station would be a 1K ski, 1K row. There's a sled push, a sled pull, heavy sleds, farmer carry, burpee broad jump, lunges. There's one more I'm missing. Oh, wall balls at the end.
Okay.
So like some CrossFit-y stuff in there.
Functional fitness
it's
based.
Like, it's more testing endurance. It's not the full.
You're not doing a heavy lift
that you would get at a CrossFit competition. Yeah, no gymnastics, no
lifting,
no technical lifting. Everything is like simple-ish. So it's just testing your capacity to do stuff.
Yeah, capacity, and it sounds like some foundational movements and endurance, which sounds fun, sounds different. Are you going to be doing the games in 25?
I'm not.
You're officially not, or you don't know if you are?
Officially not. I told Rachel and Dylan a few weeks ago that I would not be.
I did not know that.
I would not. Yeah, not going to be on the team.
Gotcha.
So I don't know yet if that means I'm not going to do CrossFit at all. I might still do the master season. I'll probably still do it. It's just a matter of like how
intense,
seriously how much of a focus I'm going to put into it. But even if I put a lot of focus into it, it will be several notches less than I have for the team game season, as I have the last many years.
What played the biggest role, would you say, in coming to that decision?
Having another kid and
limited time.
Like I want to go on I want to go on a vacation that's not a competition, just like be able to do more stuff, because that's, you can only justify so many. I mean, I competed a lot last year, and
Yeah.
they're like a CrossFit competition is like the big ones, the multi-day, that's like a week thing,
Oh yeah.
And so I did last year, I did legends in December, and then there was semifinals in Knoxville, and then the games and Texas, and it's just a lot. And the kids really enjoy those trips. Like I made a point to, like, I really wanted them to go to those things and share that with them, and that's been fun. But it will also be fun to just like go to Virginia Beach in May,
Yeah.
and I don't have to worry about staying in shape,
Staying in peak
and
condition.
whatever. Yeah, I can just go and do it. So, and even like, I want to like help coach Mavericks second grade basketball team, and like just stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun to
Well,
do
I
more
I
things.
think there's nothing. I don't think there's anything that you can say that you didn't uh, accomplish. You had a very to be able to get to fifth in the world, be a 3 times CrossFit Games athlete. It's very impressive, especially considering everything that you have to go through. Because it's not just the training; it's everything too that like comes with it to overcome that. So, congratulations on everything that you've accomplished. Because it's pretty inspiring to see that and be able to overcome and just get to that level, going from all the way from like 2012 where you didn't know what CrossFit was and you just do an open and you're like, oh, this is fun, to slowly making it towards the games and eventually getting there and competing against Rich Froning. He was a couple rows over from you for a couple of the competitions, right? For 21 and 22.
Yeah.
So that would be exciting to see how you do with the Hyrox stuff and be able to just spend more time with family. What is going into some rapid fire questions? What's your favorite CrossFit workout?
Favorite CrossFit workout. I saw this one and I didn't come up with an answer. I don't know.
It's not like Grace or
it's no. I like workout in general. I like workouts that have a lot of components to it. Because I'm not like really good at any specific thing, but
I don't know if you can say that you place fifth and you
relative. Like if you took the avatar of me, like I'm not like really like the best at something, but I'm like pretty good at.
You're
at
a good
things.
Overall athlete.
So I like workouts that have a lot of things, so it takes the specialists out because if
where does Murph
guy,
rank on your list? Do you like Murph?
No,
or hate
I don't
Murph?
like Murph. I don't really. I used to. That was like one of my workouts that I would do for fun. That was Heather's first CrossFit workout was Murph. So I used to do that.
Impressive first CrossFit workout.
I just know how I don't like it because I know how sore it's going to make me, and I know it's going to affect my workouts for the next several days to a week, and so that's the piece that I don't.
So Murph or Fran, much. If you had to pick one.
Oh, I like Fran. I would still do Fran.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Most challenging moment at the games. Would you say that was your?
Ooh. So the back stuff, which I talked about, like that was pretty chill. If I was going to give another example, I'll try and keep it rapid fire. I was really, really bad at swimming, and we qualified in 2021 as like, oh, I got to get serious about swimming. And I never got to the point where I was decent. Like it wasn't enough time. And so the first workout at my first CrossFit Games was a swim in the open water. And that was very challenging. And it was set up so that Ryan and I went at the same time. But it didn't matter and he's a good swimmer. So he finished and he waited for minutes for me to finish my swim. And there's like, that just sucks, because he's just waiting on me. So that was tough. a tough moment. I was really glad that it was just done though after the first workout, and we finished in the middle somewhere. But I was glad that it was just done,
Get
and
it out of the
I
way.
didn't have to think about it again the rest of the week.
Swimming
So,
would not be, especially like if it's not something you're used to, an easy piece. That's for sure. What is your best recovery tool or strategy?
hmm. um, if I'm gonna go at tool, the thing I do the most during competitions is I do the squeezy boots, the air
Okay.
squeezy boots.
The Normatec like boots.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I do that a lot, like at least once a day, sometimes a couple times a day. Even if it does nothing, it feels like I'm doing something
I
productive.
love those
I
things.
think it does, but I'm just saying, like, even mentally, it's like it forces you to just calm down,
Yeah.
which is important when you have
Your
if you're
stimulus is
competing for
always
3 to
going.
4 days. So you got to be able to bring it down after you're ramped up. And I mean, it's the ultimate ramp up to be out there in front of tons of people and doing things at the games. So it's a skill to like bring it back down in between, because otherwise you're just going to fizzle out by the end of
Yeah.
the competition. So the boots, you just lay there, watch a show. You're still recovering, even if you're not recovering, which I think you are. But even if you're not, it feels like you're
Yeah.
doing
I,
something
I would
productive.
say that you definitely are with those. There is science behind them that does support it. What is your one piece of advice if you had to give one piece of advice for aspiring CrossFit athletes
Man,
who
these
want to
are
get
these
better?
are not rapid fire
I did.
questions. These are like more than rapid fire questions, but that's okay. Okay, so aspiring CrossFit athlete. So I would say to identify how serious you are about it and how far you want to take it and what you're willing to do, because you're going to have to do a lot of stuff that's not fun and you don't like you're going to have to your worst thing, you're going to have to put a bunch of time into it because you can't have a hole.
Yeah.
It'll get exposed.
Yeah.
Like for me, this is after, once I got to games level swimming, like I wasn't going to get better at swimming just doing it once in a while. So after the first games, um, uh, I swam. I wrote it on the whiteboard and I swam every week for a year. Um, I missed a few with like Christmas vacation and
Yeah.
stuff when the schools were closed where I would swim. But otherwise,
You
but
didn't go in like
anyway,
you got Lake Michigan. You could have done
I
that.
yeah. But like I be real about it. Like how much
Yeah.
time, how much are you willing to sacrifice and if the answer is you are willing to do whatever it takes, like you got to do all that stuff you don't want to do. And you got to start thinking about your training sessions, not about like winning the workout on the 8 day leaderboard. You got to think about it as
How does this
how
fit into
is
the overall
how
puzzle?
yeah how what is the way I can do this workout that I can take the most out of it, which might not mean I'm going to try and get the best time on this workout. It might mean like I should try to do big sets of toes to bar instead of safe small sets of toes to bar. Or it might mean I'm not going to use the little skinny bar in the gym upstairs because that's not in any competitions. I'm going to use the regular size bars in the back of the room, knowing that it might cost me, I might have to break an extra 3 times over the course of the workout and not be as high on the leaderboard. So, like that shift in mindset of what is going to make me the best over the course of my career, not, what feels the best today,
Yeah. No, that
And it's
makes
okay to have a mix. Like it's okay to do stuff that makes you feel good
yeah,
that
mix it
day
in, but
also.
you got
But
to make some sacrifices, make some changes.
yeah.
That makes sense. Are you still doing personal training with like personal clients right now?
So I whittled that way down going into the games, and after the games we bought a house, and then I had a baby, and so I haven't picked it back up. But I'm like just now to the point where I feel like things are starting to settle in with all that stuff. So it probably within the next little while, maybe start
So if people
exploring
want
that
to
more.
work with you in that capacity, what's the best way for them to reach you, contact you, follow you, all of those things?
I, I do have an Instagram. You're not going to find a lot on there. It's Mr. Paas, Mr. all spelled out, Paas, Paas, or on Facebook or whatever.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm
Um,
not a great follow if you're looking for rad content. So
constant daily content. That's not going to be you.
I bet I like put stories up twice a week and I post a couple times a year.
But if they have questions, they can reach out
I
to you
do
there.
check it. Yeah, I will get, if you message me, I do check those. So,
Awesome. Any final thoughts?
no.
No.
Do you
Cool.
have final thoughts?
I do not have final thoughts. I think we covered a lot. This was uh always fun, always good to chat with you for one. And
how many repeat interviews have you had?
I think only two. You and Rachel, I think those are the
It's an
only
honor
repeat.
to be one of
Yeah.
your repeats.
No, it's always fun talking to you about this stuff. I love talking about this stuff. So fitness training and resiliency, which like this combines everything as far as those things. So like how do different people get better? I always find inspiring, whether it's like it can be an athlete, it can be just an everyday person, just everyone's got their challenges, and how do they overcome to become the best version of themselves, and also uh the best at whatever they're trying to be the best in. So sometimes it's athletes, sometimes it's business, sometimes, whatever that is, it's the best healthcare provider. Like how do those people tackle those things? And there can be a lot of similarities. There's definitely some differences in how to go about it. But my belief is that everyone should be prioritizing fitness. I think that's why these conversations are important to be had, because a lot of people will maybe listen to this and say, oh, well, Michael hurt his back. CrossFit's bad for your back. When that's not true. Injuries are a part of life, pain's a part of life, and how we overcome them is important. And so I give you a lot of respect for getting to the level that you're doing, getting over those injuries. That's huge. And so for those of you listening, whatever level you want to take it to, I really think that you can with the right mindset, the right approach to everything. Your training has to be right and everything like that too. So
yeah, totally.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, by the way, for helping me survive the season. And like,
Hey,
you're always available. You're always available whenever I had a flare up or whatever, and you did anything you could to help me out. So I appreciate you getting me through this and previous seasons, but specifically this season, you're a big asset to me. So thank you.
Always a pleasure to be able to help. I'm grateful to be here and on site. And when things happen, I mean, that's one of the nice things about being here is like we can easily get things rolling as quick as we can. So yeah. It's fun. I love it. Awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, comments, please put in the comments below and we will get to those.